The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
All right, Kyle, you know what? Last night, I watched a guy on the Seattle Kraken carve up the Canucks in preseason action for the second time this preseason. That was a waiver wire edition. So why don't the Canucks use waiver wires? We're going to talk about that next here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, your co-host here on Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer over at Daily Hive Vancouver. I'm still a part-time credentialed media member too. You know what? Okay, I got a couple games lined up. Beggsy's back in the press box. They let me back in. Let's go. But instead of celebrating me, I want to celebrate the fans here first, because we appreciate the heck out of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks, making it your first listen every day. It's your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, on today's episode of Locked On Canucks, want to talk a bit about the waiver wire, because there's a lot of guys going through waivers right now as cuts are being made, and the Canucks, they haven't really used it that much. They prefer to give up assets instead. Also want to touch on the Canucks' lack of offense this preseason and maybe a couple other thoughts on their latest game against the Seattle Kraken. But before we do that, let me introduce a guy who's got a lot of color in the background for those YouTube viewers today, whereas I got a gray wall behind me. Kyle Bhawan, bringing the color to the program. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, are you getting a divorce or what, man? Look at your background, man. Are you in the settlement court? Yo, the other day, I had somebody I know who got selected for jury duty. Am I allowed to say that out loud, or is that like?
Yeah, I think you said. Why not? You're not spilling names here.
So what's the thing? Like, if you get that, you have to show up, right? It's like your Canadian duty.
Yeah, you need like a legitimate reason not to show up.
Damn. In 2023,
which I'm not
what's
sure
a
that could be
legitimate reason?
work for all I know, but.
Damn. Okay. Interesting thoughts, man. Life, man. It's something else. It really is. And being a Canucks fan, that is definitely something else, because it was getting dark today, man. I'm not gonna front. Trevor, you're getting to me, man. I swear to you, you're getting to me. That negative energy that you're sending out, that pessimism, that lack of actual faith that you have is, again, getting to me, because at 6 a.m, I'm driving to the airport with two of my other Canuck fans in my life, and I said it out loud, yo. I said, I think the Canucks are gonna do the same thing again this year. I can't believe it.
Wow.
And it's because of what? The preseason and the lack of goals and just like the lack of effort. You know what I'm saying? Another first period where you're like, yo, what? Anywho, I know we got a lot to talk about, the waivers, the comments, all that stuff. But again, I'm feeling sad, man.
It's okay, Kyle. It's October 5th. It's going to be okay. The Canucks, and we're going to touch on it, probably sometime next week, but, they got a couple of big games to start their season, and I think the team can't be thinking that way, putting a lot of pressure on themselves, but, I looked at this article in The Athletic today, and they basically had NHL teams in tiers, and the Canucks, as you can kind of expect, are middle of the pack, but there were only two teams in the top tier, and it was Carolina and Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton, a lot of people think they're going to be a wagon this year. I still have questions about their goaltending, but regardless, there's a couple of big games for the Canucks. Their big stars are going to have to step up. Didn't see a lot of those big stars last night out in Abbotsford, but for me, I'm thinking more about the bottom of the lineup right now, and specifically the waiver wire. And Kyle, I got to ask you, why don't Patrick Allvin and the Canucks really use waivers? And part of the reason I'm asking is, look at what they've done over the past 12 months. Like, they trade Riley Stillman as part of the Jason Dickinson cap dump. They trade for, I guess Casey Smith is okay, but trading for Jack Stednica, it's like Seattle got Eli Tolvanen off the waiver wire, and Eli Tolvanen tore it up for them last year, and he's been tearing it up this preseason. I just want to see the Canucks do something like that. So I got to ask you, why do you think the Canucks are not utilizing the waiver wire?
Dude, I got a better question. If you're going to talk all that ish, right? Because again, you're Trevor, man. You just always wanted more, not in the moment. Who should they pick up in the waivers? Like, give me some names. Don't just talk all that ish. Like, if there has been a couple rounds of waivers over the last couple of days, there's more coming. Who should they pick up?
Yeah, so one guy, and I wish I had more time to dive into NHL active rosters and who is still on active rosters on other NHL teams. But one guy who passed through waivers the other day who I was really interested in is Riley Walsh. So
Mm.
Riley Walsh was a New Jersey Devils prospect, right shot defenseman. And just with the Devils, all the depth they had there, Riley Walsh ended up being traded to Boston at some point. So now he's in Boston's organization. He just got sent down through
Mm.
by Boston recently. But that's a guy where I'm like, okay, he's got the pedigree of being a really solid NCAA defenseman. I think he had like 41 points in 60 something AHL games last season. I think
Wow.
he had like 4 goals for a defenseman in 6 AHL playoff games last season.
Whoa.
So the guy, and
What?
he's got some OK size. He's not like smaller like Jack Rathbone. He's got some size to him, although he is definitely offensively inclined. So a guy like that, I'm just thinking, you got 22-year-old Cole McWard with 5 games of NHL experience, and and that's all his professional experience. Why not put in a claim for a guy like Riley Walsh? And obviously the other guy, maybe I'll throw it back to you for your thoughts on this one, Cal Foote. So Cal Foote, I believe he has now passed through waivers. Uh, big 6'5" defenseman, former 14th overall pick. Do you think Cal Foote would have made sense for the Canucks?
No. And I wish I had more like input as
Well, how do you feel about Adam Foote being behind the bench? Like,
no, that's what I was
does
gonna
that
get at.
hamper it, or is that a bonus?
Well, again, first of all, like I wish my answer of no didn't have so much to do with what you just talked about and like not his actual play on the ice because I haven't watched a lot of this guy. Took a break from the game. It is what it is. But the whole father-son dynamic in the NHL, I kind of get it. I think I saw a Rick Dollywell tweet. Again, he's saying things, the truth or not, who knows? But he kind of alluded to the fact how that was not going to happen because of the father-son dynamic. And maybe it was something like the Canucks, quote unquote, didn't want, but maybe it's something that those two didn't want because, like, I've worked with my dad before for a long time, and I honestly loved it. It was cool because you get to hang out with the homie every day. It's cool, but once you bring like that relationship to the public eye, like Vancouver is just, I'm not gonna say like a toxic market. I wouldn't do that to the West Coast, the best coast, but it's a market that hasn't gotten a lot of winning. And people are frustrated and you just don't want any sort of banter because there's so much banter on this side of the world when it comes to hockey, and a lot of people have phones and a lot of angry people, like crazy angry people, are Canucks fans, and they just let it out. And maybe they'll adding that type of dynamic into your relationship with like one of your most important family members, and it's just, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense if we were winning games, like if we were like a winning team and that was the standard and we were looking forward to actual games and we weren't lost, and I think they would consider it if the hockey piece was there as well, like that piece of the puzzle would work. But again, since we're not, it's too much of a risk. That's my long-winded answer, okay?
Yeah, and you know what? I made the argument before that it's like, hey, Adam has coached his son Cal before,
Mm-hmm.
so why couldn't it work at the NHL level? But it's different. It's different now, okay? Like back in junior, Cal Foote, a prospect on the rise, playing big minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that led to him being drafted 14th overall in 2017 by the Tampa Bay Lightning. But it's different now because this guy is, 24 years old, maybe even 25 years old by this point. And it's like, if he doesn't make the Canucks or he doesn't play well, like that becomes a lot of more of an awkward conversation, right? So yeah, I think the family dynamics, they definitely play a part of it there. In terms of the waivers, the other guy I wanted to bring up, and I think some Canuck fans might roll their head, but Cole Lynn hit the waiver wire this morning, former, also from that 2017 draft. And part of the reason I bring up Cole Lind is I forgot about this until someone tweeted it out, but Cole Lind had 30 AHL playoff points last season, and apparently that was like the first time in 15 years. Again, I don't know if it's a franchise record or an AHL record, but it was like the first time in a long time, whether it's franchise or AHL, that someone hit 30 points in an AHL playoff run. So that makes Cole Lind kind of an intriguing name. I don't think he was super
Yeah.
noticeable against the Kraken, and to me, Cole Lind just seems like one of those guys who's a top 6 guy or bust, right? And he's not going to make that at the NHL. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying, and I made this point off the top, is the Canucks are trading mid-round picks for guys like Riley Stillman. I know that was part of a bigger deal. Jack Studnicka. And it's like these guys could be found on the waiver wire. Eli Tolvanen, like we're celebrating Jack Studnicka here in Vancouver. Eli Tolvanen is a way better player than Jack Studnicka, and the Kraken got him for free on waivers. I just want to see Patrick Allvin do some stuff like that.
And again, is that possible? Is that player out there? Like, Seattle did it, but the Tolvanen guy that they got, like, he did it too. He's that good of a player that ended up being on waivers. That happens pretty rarely throughout the year, you know? Maybe there's like one or two of those guys. It's like fantasy football, right? Early on in the season, there's only at like the end of 18 weeks, there's really only been like 5 waiver pickups that turned into like actual impactful players on your roster. I'm making the connection because I feel as if that's always going to be the case, and I'm curious to know if any of those guys already got sent down or are going to be available in the next couple of days, because I could definitely see this team take a flyer if it all works out mathematically, because there's been there's been 5 preseason games, you know, and there's been a lot of boring performances, not a lot of standouts. Like,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, the bare minimum is all we can hang on to, you know, straight up. There hasn't been that many standout performances. Now, shout out to Hronek.
Yeah,
He's looked really good. Like, everyone makes mistakes, but when he looks good, he looks solid. You know, it's going to be like, the best way to put it. He's like 5 times, 10 times the defenseman Luke Shen is, and Luke Shen was our second most consistent defenseman for a little bit there. So there's good things to look at, but not a lot of standout moments for real. And there's room for those parts, like the second defense, the guy who plays with Quinn Hughes, the Studnicka's position, the Amon part. Like, if there's a player available on waivers that they identify as someone better than those guys, I feel like they'll do it for sure. Because this season matters, man. They got to win games.
Yeah. 100% they got to win games. Let's go, baby. And you talked about maybe how the preseason's been a bit underwhelming. So let's touch on that, the other side. Specifically the lack of offense from the Canucks, and then maybe some more thoughts on that preseason game against the Kraken. But first, I gotta tell you, go snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place just a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. You know, Thursday night football going on tonight, the Chicago Bears, the Washington Commandos. I got to say, I got some betting advice from a friend a long time ago, and it's never bet on a really bad team. The Bears are a really bad team, and as much as I like Justin Fields, as much as I have him on my most important fantasy team, I would not be betting on the Bears.
How do you like Justin Fields?
What's
Come
that?
on, man. How do you like Justin Fields, bro? I'm one of your best friends.
It was just the way my draft went, man. It was the way my draft went.
Man.
It wasn't my top choice. I waited on a quarterback maybe a bit too long.
Dark and unloyal, Trevor Beggs, man. That's what you got to put on your LinkedIn
I'll tell you what, man.
bio.
There's a difference. There's a difference between fantasy and the real game. But you know, if you want to get some extra skin in the game, just make sure you do it with FanDuel, because the app, it's so easy to use. Okay, there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Okay, you're back. On Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Not your team. Just that West Coast bias over here. Man, oh man, Trevor Beggs, man. I'm angry at you. I'm sorry, man. I shouldn't be calling you out. I can already see Jay defending you in the comments, you know? Leave Trevor alone. What are you talking about? All this nonsense. You're too mean to him. You're a bully. Yo, dude, I'm just saying I'm angry at the Canucks today, and it's because of you. And then you spent like 7 minutes talking about the Seattle Kraken. Come on, man. Where was the 6-minute report on Jack Studnicka and the projections for Jack Studnicka, okay? Where was that?
Okay, all I'm saying, man, is the Canucks and Kraken should be rivals. I would want to see that rivalry be heated up. But one way for the Canucks to come out ahead of that rivalry is to be better at asset management than a team that's been in the NHL for 2 years. That's all I'm saying, man.
Dude. Okay, one thing about Seattle, and I promise we're going to talk about the Canucks in like 10 seconds. One thing about Seattle that I'm hearing, not seeing, because honest person, if they're not dressing the main guys, I'm not watching preseason games. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Even when I'm doing this show, hey, bro, I got books to read and, my ass to scratch, got to go to the gym. There's things to do. But one thing that I've heard from a lot of people is that at least it doesn't matter who's playing for Seattle. Like, it doesn't matter who's playing for the Kraken. They're all bought in. They play a certain way. Does that concern you how the Canucks... Man, again, I'm being dark today, man. Are you concerned that the Canucks kind of just have a bunch of pieces and they're far away from being whatever puzzle they're trying to create? Because, yeah, I don't know. I'm just concerned.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think, I think maybe I felt guilty of it a bit earlier this week in terms of overreacting to the Canucks preseason. Let's see what it looks like in real game action. I mean, the fact that they have started slow in the preseason to me has been a bit concerning. The lack of offense has been a bit concerning. But I'll say this, the one game where they put out their full roster against the Edmonton Oilers, again, they faced a team missing McDavid and Draisaitl, but otherwise it was a fairly complete team. They looked rock solid that game, right? And I know, again, that game they started slow, but as that game went on, they were dominating the Edmonton Oilers. So that's really the only game we've seen with their full lineup, and they looked pretty good. So that's the glass half full. That's the optimism you needed, buddy.
Thank you.
But the reason I wanted to bring up the lack of offense is because the preseason is really about evaluating the bubble guys, right? I know we had this debate, every Dayers know, playing the stars versus evaluating bubble guys and whatnot. But in the preseason, the Canucks have scored 8 goals in 5 games. And most of those goals have come from star players. I'm pretty sure I can list all the goals right now. Hughes has 3.
Yeah.
Pettersson scored. Kuzmenko scored. Soucy scored. Phil DiGiuseppe scored. I think I'm missing one other one. But my point is, like, you haven't really seen a lot of depth goals. Like, I'd love to see a Hoglander goal, Stanika, Joshua, Carlson, Ratty. Like, one of these guys. Like, you'd like to see them score at least a goal. But we haven't seen any goals from any of the bubble guys, really. Unless you want to count Phil DiGiuseppe as a bubble guy. Which I don't really, based on what we've seen.
Okay, Trevor. You say all that. You say all that, and I agree with you, but I'm also not surprised. I'm not surprised. And we talked about this, not yesterday, 2 days ago. 2 days ago when we both logged in and did this. We talked about it 2 days ago, and I don't think I have much faith in offense from all those guys you want offense from. Let's be honest. Look at the names you just said. Let's not kid ourselves. Again, the Canucks are not the best team in hockey. They don't have those pieces yet. And we touched on Mikheyev, right? Mikheyev, Besser, those guys got a, minimum 60-plus points. Sounds extreme, but if they're going to play top 6 minutes, and since this team's going to only find success through, Demko doing his thing, the defense getting slightly better, but this offense and this top 6 for the Canucks being that damn good, those are the guys. You have Besser, Mikheyev, Miller, Kuzmenko, Pettersson, and whoever else gets to play with those guys. It's those guys who are going to score 65, 70% of the goals, right? Like, it's not really coming. We can't rely on anyone else, and that should not be surprising. Look at the goal totals from all those guys. Look at their career best. It's not going to happen. So I'm not surprised. So I feel as if I'm not that concerned because going into the season that I've prayed for wins, so it could give us a chance to change culture. I'm praying to only a crop of like 6 or 7 guys. It's just the truth. They got to exceed expectations. For real.
Yeah. I'm just saying, am I asking too much, asking for like 1 goal in the preseason from one of these depth guys? That's all I'm asking for. Like, just somebody. I will say, like, some guys have played well, right? Like, I've liked what Hoglander's shown for the most part. I think Ratty's
Are you being nice? Are you being nice? Have you come on, think about it. I know I'm being the toxic one now, but think about it. You think he's...
I didn't love Hoglander's positioning on the 2-1 goal last night. That I will say, but I have liked some of the board battles he's won, some of the plays he's made with the puck. I think it's like Hoglander, you can see like the skill. Like, he looks like he could be a star sometimes, but he just can't put it all together. But overall, I have like Hoglander's game. Like, it has to be a reasonable bar considering that he was, spent the majority of the season in the AHL last year. Archie Baines, I think, was once again, like, I thought it was really interesting that Archie Baines and Atu Ratu were together on a penalty kill last night as a penalty killing duo.
Cool.
And I think Baines drew a penalty while the Canucks were shorthanded as well. Like, Baines has looked rock solid, man. Like, he's up there in the call-up line. So some things I've liked. I haven't really liked Carson Soucy, to be honest. I know he's scored I know he's dealing with a lot with Twins, but again, he's getting paid $3+ million a season. This season matters. Not even next season matters. It's now this season matters. Haven't loved what I've seen from Carson Soucy overall. So there's good and bad, man. That's kind of just throwing out some of my thoughts for preseason
dude.
before we get to Komment Korner here.
Oh my God, dude. I hope nobody watches this episode of Locked On Canucks. I'm putting this out there because
I said some good things, man.
No, we're both being a little dangerous here, you know? Because the week is coming up. We have a few sunny days left. I hope that Canuck fans do know that there's still, a really good chance that Demko, Hughes, and Pettersson just do their thing collectively. They're three of the best players in their position. A lot of teams they dream of that. If those three reach their max potential, it's going to be some sort of a lethal combination that will lead to regular season success. It's just the truth. Defense, center, goaltender, boom, bam. There's still a chance. And then there's still a chance that everything we talked about today over the last 17 minutes is possible too. But just don't even, come on. You know what, Trevor? Get to the other side, okay? You're a dangerous guy.
The Vancouver Canucks, they're making some steps in the right direction, man. And, if you want to make some steps in the right direction with your career, you know where you got to do that? You got to use Indeed if you want to make some steps in the right direction with your career, okay? Because Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. You know what I love about Indeed? My wife, she calls me the Flash. We don't need to talk about why, but because she calls me the Flash, I can relate to Indeed because Indeed's got Instant Match, baby. Candidates that you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to data from the United States of America. And Indeed, they do the hard work for you. You sponsor a job and boom, Instant Match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description immediately after you post. With Instant Match, you can start hiring fast, just like the Flash. Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that meet your must-have job requirements. So make sure you go to Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application. Price not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
People, before we get back to the show, baby, I gotta tell you that new episodes of Locked On Canucks will be available wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all, okay? New episodes every day at 4:20 p.m. Again, wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube. Let's get back to the show. Okay. Another episode of Locked On Canucks coming at you right now. Subscribe, hit the like button if you want. Only if you want. Again, if you didn't like the show, maybe you'll like it next year. Maybe you'll like it next week. Maybe you'll never like it. It's okay because we are all Canucks. And Trevor Beggs, we got to do the people a favor, okay? We got to put a smile on for the rest of the episode because we have a duty, right? We have a duty, a job. It's the truth. Anyways, Beggsy, before we get to the comments, I got to ask you the most important question in the world. How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm tired, man. It's been a crazy week, but I'm flying to Ottawa tomorrow to reunite with my wife and my son, so life is good.
Okay, Trevor, you're flying to Ottawa, and I'm going to do you a favor. Okay? You can pick a book, okay? You can pick one of these books, pick it up from the studio, because I'm assuming that you're flying out of YVR. Is that the truth?
Yeah.
Come over here and pick up a book. Oh, wrong side. My bad. We got the piggy book right here. Again, a lot of good things here. And then we got this as well, okay? Najin. For real. So pick up a book and read it on your flight. Why? Because, dude, I want to start a book club. Why not? Right?
Yeah, I learned my coworker and her friend now have started a book club. So, it's spreading, man. I asked her to listen to what the fuck you're reading.
Oh, wow, dude. I haven't dropped an episode of that in a very long time. And now I'm thinking about doing just that. But before we do just that, let's go over to that segment, right? The best part of the show, Komment Korner. on Locked On Canucks.
Welcome to Komment Korner, powered by Paraphrasing.
Today's comment comes from our friend user.
Trevor's eyebrows are such a big problem. If he doesn't trim them, I will no longer participate in watching another episode of this other Canucks podcast.
Okay, we appreciate the comment because we appreciate the honesty, man. You know, Trevor and I, we have weekly meetings, and we always talk about how we got to respect our audience and understand that they're not blind or deaf. They know what they know what they're talking about. That being said, when I saw this comment, I dropped a comment too, and I said, "You should see my mother's." So I didn't mean to like insult your mom there. Sometimes I just say random stuff, and I just want to let you know if I should delete that comment, I will.
No, it's all good, man. I will say, in terms of my the caterpillars on my face, I mean, it definitely didn't come from my mom or my dad. You know, I came from like an ancestor or something. Like, no one in my family
Cool.
has big old massive eyebrows. So,
Dude, that's cool. That's cool, man. There's definitely somebody from the past who had those bushy eyebrows, and I'm glad we went there because I didn't trust us to talk more Vancouver Canucks. And if the Ups are watching this and they're mad at it, I'm sorry, but it's not the time, man. Again, a few sunny days left here for our city or our cities over here on the west coast, the best coast of Canada. And I hope everyone listening to this who was from there enjoys it. Hey, if you're listening to this from anywhere else and it happens to be a good day to walk, go for a walk. And if it's raining, grab an umbrella. It fixes everything, okay? Trevor Beggs, I don't know if you have anything else to say. I don't. Sign us out.
I'll sign out in a second. And we talked about eyebrows. You know, there's another big Surrey boy with big eyebrows like me, Zhujar Kaira, who passed the waiver wire. That's another guy who would look good on the Canucks, but I'll leave it at that. We'll keep an eye on the waiver wire, and if any other interesting names pop up, Kyle and I will break it down here on Locked On Canucks. But for now, no shout out to those everydayers, the occasional listeners. If this is your first time listening, let's hop on the bandwagon, baby, because the Canucks might not be going to the moon, but Locked On Canucks is going to the stars, baby.
Whoa.
So make sure you tune in for more, preseason coverage, regular season coverage on trade rumors, all that good stuff. But we got to get out of here. So for now, I'm Trevor Beggs, that guy's Kyle Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.